Oh, I guess.
Awesome. All right, I think we're live. Our screens got a little frozen for a second there. Hey everyone, how's it going? Heather here, and I'm really excited to have Marc Johnston in the house again. Marc, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Really, really good. And I am so excited to talk about this topic today. Marc and I have been in personal development for a while, and we have certainly learned a few things along the way. And this topic today actually came from you guys. Someone was asking how to set goals the right way. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about, is how to set goals the right way. And just to start off, I'm going to share this, that 90% of people set goals the wrong way. Most people don't even set goals, right? But of the people that actually set them, they're setting them the wrong way. So we want to show you today a really easy method that we have proven works time and time again and that you can use in your life. So if you have any questions for us or comments as we go live here with Marc today, just go ahead and leave a comment. I can definitely see it as we are live here. So yeah, go ahead and give us a shout out. Let us know what you think about what we're sharing. If you've had any experiences or any questions. So Marc, why do you think people are setting goals the wrong way? What's the wrong way to do it?
Well, I've given this some thought. It's always really interesting to kind of analyze what people are thinking. But I think the real reason is, our society, we don't really teach a lot of these background skills very well. Schools, when we go into them, they're really good at pushing science and math and history and whatnot, but they don't teach about all those background skills that help you to be successful. They don't teach you about motivation. They don't teach you about setting goals. They don't teach you how to be successful, just kind of almost like the end results of being successful.
Right.
But, as far as how to set goals, I actually did learn a goal setting method when I was in school. I was taught to teach this to other people. And so when the topic came up, like how do you set goals, I immediately went back to this method and took a look at it, and I realized I didn't agree with it. Now, what this method is, it's the SMART method of setting goals. And I don't know if everyone is familiar with SMART goals. So just quick overview, it's actually an acronym. And it stands for specific, it's asking whether goals are these things. Is your goal specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely? And when I took a look at this, I kind of realized some of it was good, but most of it I think we should just throw out. Like, do I think your goals should be specific? Yes, I think goals should be very specific. Should they be measurable? Not necessarily. I mean, it's just kind of like, it depends on the situation. Like, for instance, if I want to go out and if I need a certain amount of money for a certain goal or a certain project, then yes, maybe you do need some sort of measurement there. But if your goal is to, I don't know, start a business, it's harder to really measure things along the way. It's harder to say, hey, I'm going to be successful when I've gotten to this point. Do I think that you need to keep yourself accountable? Yes, and I think that measuring the goals is one way to do that. But we can get sometimes caught up in these measurements. Now, this is where I really disagree with SMART goals.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. The SMART goals talk about how you need to set attainable goals and realistic goals. And the thing is, when we set attainable goals and realistic goals, we're not really growing. Do you think when I'll ask you this, Heather, do you think when Walt Disney set out and he said, I'm going to make, I don't know if these are the words he used, but I'm going to go out and make the happiest place on earth. I'm going to create this big multimedia empire. Do you think that he was really going for a realistic goal there?
Right. I even heard that his best friend, he took his best friend out to this lot, right? It was this empty plot of land. There was nothing there. And Disney said, I'm willing to give you the first bid, come build a store here because this real estate is going to be worth tens of millions of dollars. And his friend said, I'm sorry, Walt, I just don't see it. He didn't see the vision that Disney had. To him, it was just a bunch of swampland or desert land, right? And so he said that for every step that he took back to his car cost him $10 million. because he failed to see the vision that Disney had. It wasn't a realistic thing. It seemed like an impossible, laughable kind of goal, right? So yeah.
And I think that's the difference between people who just kind of get by in life and they get some things done, and the people who really achieve things. I think if you look at the stories of Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Walt Disney or any of these big names that everyone knows about, they were not setting realistic goals. They were not setting attainable goals. They're pushing themselves. And they might not have known how they were going to get there because no one had done those things before. You don't know how you're going to get somewhere until you actually do it. And so part of the process is learning how to get to where you're going.
Right. And so, think of Edison, Oprah Winfrey, the Wright brothers. All of these people did things that others laughed at. They were told it was impossible. It was impossible to fly. Like we weren't going to fly, right? The Wright brothers, they didn't listen to that. So this whole idea of attainable really just keeps you small.
And the thing is, I don't think these people are all that special. Like, it's not like they possess some inhuman amount of motivation or some sort of skill that other people don't have. I think this is something that anyone can do. It's just the school system kind of teaches us to rein in our expectations, to make sure that we're not disappointed or that we're not failing. Our society kind of teaches us to not fail. And I think that holds people back. So I actually like how Bob Proctor, he kind of categorized different goals. So just to talk about this a little bit, I like how he categorized goals into like A, B, and C types. Have you heard about this before, Heather, the Bob Proctor's A, B, and C goals?
Yeah, just briefly. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and take it, sounds like you got it.
That's fine. Well, he was also kind of going about the same idea of like how our goals are, for a lot of people, are holding people back. So his A goals, he talks about how A goals are what most people set. These are goals that people know that they can do. If I want to go and make myself a turkey sandwich, I know I can go make myself a turkey sandwich. Same thing if, most people, if they're going to try to lose weight, they're going to give some sort of modest goal. Like, I'm going to go and lose 15 pounds. They set that goal because they're comfortable with it. They know that it's attainable. And so he goes on and he says, B goals are the things that we think we can do, think that we can accomplish. People sometimes go from A to B goals, and these are things that maybe push us a little bit, like, hey, I'm going to get a good grade on this test coming up. You think you can do it, and so you push yourself a little bit, like, hey, I'm going to study a little bit extra here and there. And I think most people sit on these A and B goals. And what I liked about Bob Proctor when I was listening to him about this, he was saying, if we really want to be happy, if we really want to get things that we want out of life, we actually need to set C goals. And these are things that we actually want to do. Heather and I, we really want to help everyone. We want to create a business that can share our message with millions of people, right? That's what we want to do, and we're building it up. We're making enough progress that we can see the steps starting to unfold on themselves. We're really excited about it. This is what we want to do. But a lot of people, I don't know about you, Heather, a lot of people were telling me that we couldn't do it, and now that we're kind of like seeing some success, people are kind of starting to be a little bit more amazed and a little bit more accepting. But at first, people were asking me, they're telling me that I should rein in my goals a little bit. And then the thing is, these C goals, these things that we want to do are what's going to stretch us. It's also going to be the things that really motivate us. These are the things that are going to be stimulating. They're going to like really touch us, emotionally, not just like intelligently. These are the things that we really, as a person, want to accomplish.
Yes.
And so when we were talking about goals, we really wanted an effective way to help people get what they want out of life. We came up with our own method for setting goals. And I can keep going, Heather, if you want, or if you can take this away. We can go either way with this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really excited about this because, like I said, we've seen that this is proven in our own lives and that it's worked for many other people as well. So our first step is to determine, Marc, which one is it? I lost my sheet here.
Okay. Yeah, well, what we're asking with our method is 3 questions, right? We're asking what, who, and why. We have considered when and where, but you know what? We actually threw those out. They're not important. I'll explain why in a second here. So the first step, like Heather was saying, we actually need to take time to figure out what you want. This is important because a lot of people, quite frankly, don't know what they want. Most of the clients that I meet with, to be honest, they come in and they say, I want to be more positive, or I want to improve my life. And I guess that's kind of understanding what they want, but honestly, how do you go about, if you're going to wake up in the morning, how are you going to work on improving your life? Most people, their goals are so vague, and they don't really know specifically what they want clearly enough to actually move towards that goal. And so I always suggest to people, take some time, like take a good afternoon or evening and really plan out what you want for out of life in general. Give as much detail as possible. I suggest that people include different emotions, different senses, just really flesh it out to the point where you are really feeling excited about that when you're reviewing it, that you can really feel good about that goal.
Awesome. Yeah, with this step 1, knowing what you want, it baffles me because often when I ask people, what do you want? They immediately launch into, well, I don't want this, and I don't want this, and I wish this was like this, and I don't want that. And it's so much easier for us to respond with what we don't want rather than what we do want. And so I think that can be a good starting place, though. And for me, it's often helped to realize, okay, write down everything I don't want first, because then when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, right? So this exercise that Marc is suggesting, maybe a good starting place is just simply write out everything you don't want and then flip it. So if I know I don't want gobs of debt, then I know I do want a life of financial freedom and abundance. If I know I don't want 30 pounds of body fat, I know I do want a lean, strong body that can serve me better. If I know I don't want poor relationships with my children and stress and havoc in my life, then I know I do want peace, calm, and serenity in my home. So conversely, like that's a really great way to kind of clarify it for yourself if you're really struggling with this. If you already know exactly what you want, then flesh it out in as much detail as possible. But that can be a great starting place. Figure out what you don't want so then you can know what you do want.
Now, I'd like to point out, while identifying things that we don't want is important, we also don't want to focus on the things that we don't want. But yeah, that should not be the goal, because what I really like is my teachers, when they were telling us about setting goals with clients, they would say, okay, when you're setting goals, apply the dead man standard. If a dead man can attain that goal, it's no good. Like if you say, I don't want to gain weight, for instance. Well, a dead man cannot gain weight. Or, if you can, so when we state those goals in the negative, it doesn't really lead to action. It leads to inaction, actually. Right. And so we want to identify those things that we don't want, but the way we set the goal should be stated positively.
Right. It's a starting point. And even when you write out the sheet of what you don't want, I recommend ripping it up, burning it, symbolically getting rid of it. And now you know what you do want. It's just a starting point for people that might have a little bit of mental block of getting to that point of understanding what they actually want. Because like you said, a lot of people really struggle with that. So awesome. Any more about step 1? You guys have any questions about that? I know we just got a comment from Jennifer. I'll go ahead and read that. But if you guys have any questions about step 1, knowing what you want, please let us know. All right, Jennifer said, I heard it somewhere that people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, but underestimate what they can accomplish in 3. So you do much better setting far-reaching, longer-term goals. Since hearing that, I try to set my goals that way, and I tend to be happy with my accomplishments in the long run. I know I'll get there. Awesome, Jennifer. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I've also heard that myself. And so, yeah, I've done that too. It's important to know where you want to go long-term and then kind of dissect it from there, break it down from there. So very good.
I'd like to say with that, though, we can set goals that are too broad in a sense. Like, so if or too long-reaching, and we need to adjust things to kind of bring them back a little bit. So if I say I'm going to, I don't know, what's something that you can accomplish in 3 years. I'm going to have my business is going to be successful. That's something that you could probably accomplish in a few years. Once again, that becomes kind of a vague goal. And how do you go about making your business successful that day when you wake up in the morning? And so it's important, if you're setting those long-term goals, to also bring it back a little bit and set some short-term goals that you can accomplish more immediately.
Right, exactly. That's what I was talking about, the dissect it from the end, right? You know exactly where you want to go,
yes.
And then break it down into 1-year goals, quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals. And I know that sounds like a lot of goal setting. However, if you want to move your life forward, you have to provide the path. And when you're talking about having a vague sense of where you want to go, there's an interesting thing about the subconscious brain. It's like a computer, right? It will do whatever we tell it to. It will respond to whatever programming we give it. The programming that we give it is our thoughts and our beliefs. And so do we want to offer it really vague, confused, conflicted thoughts? Well, that's the results that we're going to get, right? If you look at your life and you're like, man, things are kind of all over the place. Well, that is an indication that you're not giving your computer, your mind, the correct programming. And so when you have clear, concise, detailed clarity on what you want, on your vision, your goal, it will get you there because your brain has to do what you tell it to do. The brain also can't tell the difference between what is real and what is not. I'm talking about the subconscious brain. And we know the subconscious mind is responsible for the majority of our behaviors and our actions, as well as the processes in our body. And it literally does not know the difference between something that is imaginary and something that is real. That's why when you're dreaming, you feel like it's real, even though it's completely fictional, right? Your brain just made this up. And so when you give yourself a story and you flesh it out with as much detail as possible, you're actually programming your brain, your subconscious, and it will respond in turn.
I guess we should go on to step 2. We do have some steps. So step 2, we talked about what, who, and why. So really you need to ask yourself, who is this for? Now, the reason why this is important is because, I would get people in all the time and I'd ask them, they'd tell me what they want to accomplish. And I'd say, okay, so why does it need to get done? Why do you want to do this? And a lot of people would come in and they tell me, oh, well, my husband, my wife, my parents, they thought this was a problem. They thought I should come in and talk to someone. And when you start off right there, you're doing this, you're making changes for someone else. I'm going to tell you right now that goal is absolutely going to fail.
Yeah.
100%. I don't think I had ever met anyone, if they stuck to that way of thinking, if they said, okay, I'm changing because someone else asked me to, I can't think of a single person that actually made some changes. And it's because, that motivation just isn't there. You're trying to please someone else instead of actually being excited about the goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm going to put this up here. Live your life and set your goals for you. I've heard it said, what was it? Earl Nightingale in The Strangest Secret. He says that most people, the biggest danger isn't complacency, it's conformity. And we're conforming like the wrong percentage of people. And so we're conforming to be like our neighbors or like our parents, how we grew up, and this kind of paradigm that we've built up around ourselves. And is it really serving us? Is it really letting us live lives on fire? Is it going to make a difference in the world 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years from now or after we're gone, right? So that's why it's really important. Understand who you're doing it for and live for yourself, not for anyone else. And I don't know, I've always been a little bit of a rule breaker. I'm okay to step outside the box. And I felt like I was brought here to do something extraordinary. And I think that that's true of all of us. It's just that some of us feel a little more afraid to do that than others. Some of us have gotten into a little bit more complacency and we're afraid to step out of that comfort zone. That's a really big thing to me. And I continually try to push myself outside the comfort zone. And as I do, that's when I recognize the most amount of growth. But back to who we're doing this for. So yes, we should be doing it for ourselves. Who else might, like, how else might we be able to benefit from this part of our step 2?
Now, yeah, when I say you should be doing it for yourself, now there can be reasons that you yourself want to do things for other people. And now I've heard time and time again of, people, they become parents for the first time and that's like a big changing moment. Like they are now responsible for someone else and they make changes because of that responsibility. Or maybe they really see the hurt in their spouse's eyes or something, and so they go ahead and make those big changes. Now, so what I'm saying is it should be important to you, but that doesn't mean that it can't be for someone else. What I'm saying is that, like I said, it should be important to you, but it can also, a source of strength can be come from really trying to push yourself for someone else, to benefit others. And I actually find that when you find that meaning, when you find that higher purpose to, really push yourself for someone else, that can be a big motivating factor. I think I might have gotten a little bit off base when I said, okay, it doesn't work if you're coming in, to please someone else. Yeah. But if you can't, yeah. So it's kind of a tricky question. There's kind of both sides.
Yeah. When I think about the who, I ask myself some questions. Who is going to be benefited from this? Is it, and if I can't answer that question in a satisfactory way, like, for instance, I'm a mother, and so I know that I couldn't do something if it just benefited me and it hurt other people. If it benefited me and it took me away from mothering my children, then I know, that's the wrong goal, right? So I constantly use that to kind of gauge and measure if this is a worthy goal for me. So if it benefits me and it benefits others, that is a win-win, right? Then you're on track to a really good goal. If it benefits you and benefits others in a really impactful, positive way, that's where the magic really happens, right? Because then you're not just helping yourself, but you're helping and making a bigger impact outside of yourself. So that's a huge motivating factor to me.
As far as the third step, we ask the question why, and I actually think this is the most important question when we're setting goals, because this is the kind of the crux of the whole process. Where's your motivation? Why are you setting goals? If there really isn't much of a why, the goal will fall flat on its face. Right. Like if you're not very interested, people, they go about and they set those New Year's resolutions, right? And I think people are very flippant about that whole process. They say, well, it's New Year's, so I should set a goal. And, I think I'm going to do X, Y, or Z this year. The thing is, people don't take the time to think about that. They don't have much of a why. They're just kind of doing it just because. And so obviously, it shouldn't be any surprise that the vast majority of people don't achieve their New Year's resolutions because there's no why behind it. There's no real importance behind it.
Yeah. I love this quote by Bob Proctor, and it wouldn't let me write his name. So this isn't our quote. This is Bob Proctor. But he says, if your goal doesn't scare and excite you, you've got the wrong goal. This goes back to setting goals that aren't just sideways moving in your life. You don't just go from something you know you can do to something you know you can do. This is taking you from what you want to do, right? So right now, I feel like I'm in a period of personal growth because I feel a little bit of fear there, right? And that is exciting to me. It actually lets me know I'm on the right path. And if I keep going through the fear rather than stopping because there's fear or a little bit of, uncomfortability, is that a word? Uncomfortability.
Uncomfortableness? I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm outside my comfort zone, right? And I feel myself stretching a little bit. Every time I do that, it's like, okay, here it goes. I'm going to start growing. And it's a beautiful thing that happens. So whenever I set a goal and it just feels like me, like emotionally, like that's probably something I should do, but I'm not really like into it, right? I don't really feel the pull, the drive to do it. Then that's probably not the right goal, or it's not for the right reasons. And so then it's time to go back to the earlier steps and kind of dissect it. Okay, where is it? If this is something that's really good for me, if it's something I really want, why am I not feeling like fired up about it, right? And then that element of being a little bit scared, I think that is probably the thing that kills more dreams than anyone, is that self-doubt. And so learning to embrace it, actually, and knowing that it's going to be okay to be uncomfortable for a little while, right? Think about our beautiful babies, right? When they're learning how to walk, they're unsteady, they're uncomfortable on those little legs, right? And they fall down and they fail, but they pick themselves back up. And we need to remember to be like that as well. And not just be like, oh, I tried it once and it didn't work, so now I must be a failure. You know, now I can't do that. What happened to that resiliency that that infant had, that we used to be? You know, we used to have that. But the tenacity and audacity to keep going, you know, and to push yourself past the fear, because you know that something beautiful is on the other end of it.
Yeah, what I like about our method is that the questions kind of build on each other. You kind of have to know what you want and who the goal is for in order to answer why. In order to answer who, you kind of have to know what you want. And so it builds on each of those things. Now, like I said, I wanted to explain why we completely threw out when and where as far as questions go, because, you know, they tend to go together. If you look at where, why,
yeah,
or even how. You know, I think that the when, the where, and the how tend to limit people in their goals. It goes back to those realistic and attainable things we talked about from the SMART goals. If you're really concerned about when the goal is going to be accomplished, or where the goal is going to be accomplished, or how you're going to accomplish it, it holds people back. They get caught up in the details, and people get scared. They begin thinking, okay, I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there, so I must not know what needs to happen, or I must not have the skills that I need to attain this goal, so I'm probably not going to be successful. And once you start getting into that mindset, you've already failed. It's just, yeah, it's as simple as that. You know, it may be that our goal is attained in a completely different manner than what we initially set out to be. And if we are so concerned with when our goal is going to be accomplished, or where it's going to be accomplished, or how it's going to be accomplished, you know, we're going to find disappointment when it doesn't quite get there in an exact way we envision. But, you know, there's always other avenues. There's always more options. And, you know, the people who see those options are the ones that are going to be able to get their goals accomplished. So that's why we threw out those questions, because we don't want to limit ourselves by those questions, except where it gives us more detail about what we want.
Right. There might be inspiration that comes and we act on that inspiration. However, we don't dictate how it happens. Just as a little bit of an example for this. So, okay, I'll give two quick examples. One is with my publishing. I've had a goal of being a published author for 10 years, and I've been working at it that long. I would never have known from the beginning how, who, what, when, okay, not who, but you know exactly who I was going to work with. I couldn't specify all of those things. However, I knew in my mind what my main goal was, right? And so kept at it. And now 10 years later, I see where I'm at now. And because I had such a clear vision, but was open to the inspiration, that got me to where I am. That makes sense. The second, sorry.
Now I'm guessing that if you would start out and you said, I'm going to be a published author within 5 years, and those 5 years came and went, and you weren't published yet, I bet that would have really gotten you down, and you would have stopped going. And if that had happened, you wouldn't have attained your goal.
Exactly. Yep. So the other example real quick was, just fighting cancer. I didn't know how it was all going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen. And so if I had tried to say, I'm going to be cancer-free within a year, and I'm not, I am currently, but a year from it, I still wasn't into treatment, then I would feel really frustrated. And so I think there's an element of allowing it to come when it comes and being at peace with that, right? Yeah. I really love this quote. This is from Oh, again, it cut off the word. It's from Maslow. You're either going to step forward into growth or back into safety. The choice is really yours. Are you going to be the one that's going to step forward into growth, or are you just going to keep yourself small and curl back into safety? And if you use our method to push yourself outside your comfort zone and to not use limits when you're thinking about yourself and your life and what you're capable of accomplishing, then you can do extraordinary things. I've seen it happen, and I know that it can absolutely happen for you. So, Marc, anything that you want to leave us as we wrap up here today?
You know, we've kind of talked about a lot. I actually wish we had had more time. Honestly, we had a lot more planned for this. What I would have to say is it's always good to bounce your ideas off of some other people, to maybe get some help, especially if you're not familiar with, you know, the process of moving your life forward. Getting support is always a good idea. It's, you know, in all the things that I've read about making big changes in life, you know, that's one of the common threads is, you know, figuring things out, but then getting support around you to keep you going. So that's, I guess, just my last tip right there.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link below, and we actually compiled this into a really nice article for you guys. So if you want to go through it, you can catch all the points that we weren't able to touch on today in that article of this method on how to set goals the right way. It's our little secret toolkit for getting our goals achieved. And then let me just share one last thing with you guys. But okay. So with this method, we've also created a proven step-by-step system that helps transform people's lives and gets them from that place of just wishing things could be different, or maybe subconsciously feeling that things should be different than what they are, to them actually being different, helping move people through that process. So if you would like a fun transformational experience with us, then all you have to do is get on a call with us, and we will walk you through and create a tailored step-by-step system for you during that free call. So I would really invite you, if this is pulling at you right now, to go ahead and do that. I'll leave the link below for how you can get on a call with us. And we look forward to working with you guys and seeing you guys achieve your goals in the future. So awesome, Marc. Well, thank you so much for watching, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer, for commenting, and anyone else. So I don't know if I missed any comments, but thank you guys all for watching, and you guys have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
All right. Thanks, Marc.